We appreciate you guys joining us this evening. I'm out in London, but my audience is actually international. So it's always going to be great for them to know where you guys are from, and because we always like to start from the sort of the very beginning and sort of work our way through. I mean, if you introduce yourselves and where you're from, so I can let the audience get to know you guys.
All right, well, I'll start off. I mean, this is Mike and Slim. We're both from Atlanta, GA. We've been in the music industries for 25 years. We've been Grammy Award winning, multi-platinum R&B artists, that's brought you hits like It's Over Now, Peaches and Cream, Only You, Anywhere, Cupid, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah. It's
Yes, thanks,
I had your debut album 112, and that album and Brian McKnight's debut album are the only two albums that you don't skip a track. You just play it and just let it play. I did a poll about 6 hours ago on my YouTube page, and I put your first 5 albums, and I asked everyone to vote what were their favorites, and 1,000 people voted within the last 5 hours. 63%. Guess which album they voted as number 1?
Let's go with 112.
Yeah. 63%. So this is about over 600 people. This is just within the 5 hours. Said that was their favorite album of all.
Nice.
So, but before we get to that album, because as I said, to me, it's as I said, it's the only album I don't skip a track. One of the things that our viewers are used to hearing is that, especially Black Americans, it's where you guys got your start singing wise, because I think from our show, many people sing, as kids, but very few get record deals and very few get to do 5, 6, 7, 8 albums. So if we can start, so the whole thing about Must Be the Music is, how did you break the mold to become where you started from? So it always goes back to your roots. So I mean, you can start with you, Mike. I mean, how did you get into singing?
Oh man, how did I get into singing? Actually, if you ask my mother and my grandmother, I actually started singing before I could even actually talk. Which is crazy. It's like I could sing anything, but then when they asked me to say words, I just couldn't do it. So I never made the correlation. But I started singing at a really early age. I want to say about 3, 4 years of age. They knew then that I was, gifted in song, and I, like most singers, I got on everybody's nerves just singing everything. Like if I go to like a McDonald's or something, I order a number 1, I would say, "Let me get a number 1." You know what I'm saying? Like I would just get on people's nerves, just singing all the time, man. So that's where my singing ability originated. And most people would think that listening to my voice or whatever, that you would think that I actually started from the church. The crazy thing is, I never really sung a lot of solos in church. I was actually more of a choir singer in church, whatever. So I did sing in church, but I never really sang leads. So I honestly don't know where all of this quote unquote soulfulness that my voice has came from, other than, the Most High, because I never really sang leads in church. You know what I mean? Like I was always in the choir. I just wanted to be part of something. I always wanted, the group dynamic was always important to me, not necessarily the solo thing. Because anybody could do solo. My thing was, how do you make this group sound incredible or whatever? So that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to formulate and be the founder of 112. So that was important to me.
Yeah. And Slim, what about you? I mean, where did you get your sort of singing spark? And
well, you know what, my singing part did start in church. Right? I didn't have the traditional voice, so I couldn't really sing in well, I tried my best to join choirs and stuff like that, but my voice, because it's very distinctive, kind of stood out. So kind of had a lot of doors kind of shut in as far as like, choirs and stuff like that, until I went to church, and I had to learn a lot of like solo joints. So I was always out in front. So thank goodness Mike felt that way, because look, he could have done, it could have went either way on that one. He could have did it. He definitely started 112, and I just feel, I feel blessed that, after me singing out there in the lunchroom and, in high school, that he heard something special and he was just like, you know what, I think he could be a good contribution to the group. So thank goodness.
Yeah, and so I've interviewed a lot of from As Yet to Blackstreet and stuff, and that whole sense of a cut close forming groups. So when you go back to that, Mike, was the idea of forming 112, and I know the name wasn't 112 back then, but was it just to pass away time, or was there a sense of we're going to sing and try and get a record deal, or what was it? What was the thought?
No, the crazy thing was, man, we are historians of music. Like we are students of music. We are students of music theory. And for years in the beginning, man, we would sit and talk music theory all day long. Why an artist does what they do. Why did Sade sing the song the way that she did as opposed to singing it this way? Why did Jodeci sing, this chord as opposed to singing in this chord with that key? We were always in debate of, the why. We always were in search of the why. So when it came time to for 112 to, put this whole group together, it wasn't about passing the time, because, it really wasn't about past time for us. For us, it was about, we wanted to be better than everybody else. That was our main goal. We wanted to sing better than everybody else. We knew we had four lead singers. So we felt like, the best thing to do was to just out sing everybody. You know what I mean? So, to know, and not necessarily to know your enemy, but at the same time to know your adversary, or the people that your rivals are, so to speak. You had to know them. You had to actually get in depth with who they are. What I'm saying? So you can know how to better exploit their situation. And then we looked at Boyz II Men and Jodeci. Boyz II Men, Jodeci, New Edition. We looked at those three groups as the trifecta, as far as the litmus test of what we needed to do in order to be considered one of the greats. You know what I mean? So we looked at Jodeci and we were like, okay, they're good at this, but this is where they lack. And then Boyz II Men, okay, they're great at this, but this is where they lack. New Edition, this is where they're good at, but in our opinion, this is where they lack. And we tried to form our group based on what they were lacking, so the world could see, okay, in addition to these guys, all of us being able to sing lead, they also didn't have any flaws. They also didn't have any weaknesses, so to speak. And that was, the mindset for us, man. We wanted to be best. We wanted to be the best R&B group that ever existed. That was the goal, and that's what we set out to do. When putting this group together. So no, it wasn't it wasn't a pastime at all. We coming out here to bust ass, man.
I mean, Slim, think about it. I mean, Atlanta, where you guys are from now, is a hotbed. But I used to live in Selma, Alabama, back in the '90s. So Atlanta was, they hadn't had, but by 1960 they hadn't hosted the Olympics. So you don't go to Atlanta to get a record deal. When you guys were forming the group back then, did you then think, man, we're in the wrong system, we need to move to New York or LA, or what was the thoughts?
Oh man, we had those type of conversations. We were very young at the time, and we had so many hurdles. We felt like starting off, even in the inner city that we were staying. As you just said, Atlanta at the time was not known for getting record deals as it was in New York or LA. Yeah. But you know what? When we first started, there were a couple of avenues, and So So Def was one.
Okay, Crisscross. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, LaFace was one, and then you had Dallas Austin. Now, thank goodness, because we had people that were cool and with them or whatever, that we were blessed to be able to go up to Dallas Austin studio and hone our skills even more. And because, being frank, we thought we were about to be signed with Dallas Austin. We thought that was going to be our avenue. And it was just, a blessing that, how things happen. And Puff actually hearing the demo that we had done working with Tim and Bob, because originally we were Tim and Bob's group. And from there, it was like history. Puff saw in us that, hey, I can see them, definitely building this era, bad boy era. So, and then we end up having to move to New York.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so that situation, I think 112, because of how we were put together and our mindset, what Mike was just talking about, we're students of the game. So we kind of like talked about the whys, you know what I mean? And like, why this, why? So when it was our turn, we didn't care if we had to move to Zimbabwe, Africa. we would do whatever we had to be the best group, you know what I'm saying, of our era.
You know what, you said, you dropped two things here. You mentioned Dallas Austin. So for those who might not know Dallas Austin, he was the architect behind TLC. He
Monica.
was Monica, Monica. So he had Rowdy Records. So he was he did some amazing stuff on Michael Jackson, Madonna. So he was, he was just on fire. But you also mentioned Tim and Bob, Bobby Valentino. I mean, those were probably two of the most underrated producers that there's out there. They're very quiet. And I think I remember Tim and Bob had interviewed somebody, and they said that they brought the Neptunes to Dallas, and Dallas came in and said, "Yeah, I wasn't feeling it," and he goes off. So when you guys were with, did you meet Tim and Bob first, or did and they were working with you guys, or you met Dallas? What was and how did that connection happen?
Yeah, we met Tim and Bob first. The goal was, how it's crazy because how we met our managers was the reason why we met Tim and Bob. Our manager at the time was doing some scouting for Tim and Bob. His name was Courtney Seals. He was actually doing scouting for artists in Atlanta for Tim and Bob. And he found us, introduced us to Tim and Bob. From that point, we were supposed to be signed to Tim and Bob, but at the time they were working on Boyz II Men's second album. And so they didn't really, although they wanted to work with us and they wanted to groom us and but they also had Boyz II Men, who was already an established Grammy award-winning multi-platinum group that they had to work on their second album. So we totally understood that. However, we weren't going to wait. You know what I mean? And Puffy basically came in with the mindset of, hey, look, they're going to sign y'all a year from now. I want to sign y'all right now. And so when you look at it versus, a year from now versus right now, we were ready to go ahead and be signed. Our intent was to be signed to Tim and Bob through Rowdy Records. You know what I mean? That was the goal. We wanted to be signed. We had our loyalty towards Tim and Bob. We knew Tim and Bob. We knew that they were going to create these incredible records that they eventually did on our on many of our records. And so we felt the most comfortable when we felt like we had a kinship with them. They knew Commission like we knew Commission. They knew Take Six like we knew Take Six. They knew all of the artists that we akin ourselves to. They already knew them, so we knew that we had an affinity with these guys, whatever. However, they were working on other things. And Dallas Austin, he was going to sign us for the purpose of just signing us, just so nobody else would have us, pretty much. Yeah. And we actually had a conversation with Dallas like years ago, years later after we had gotten signed and sold millions of records, and I think we won the Grammy. Where he actually pulled us to the side and apologized to us. He was like, "Man, listen, I wish I would have listened and signed you guys as opposed to letting you guys go." And then because they had groomed us, Dallas Austin, Rowdy Records, Tim and Bob had actually groomed us. Before there was a Bobby V, before there was a Monica, before that was a Boyz II Men record, before there was a Tamia record, before there was Cisco the Thong Song, before it was all of those records, that was 112. You know what I mean? And we was working with these guys back in 1994. You know what I mean? So that's the oldest record we have on our album is called Now That We're Done, and that was produced by Tim and Bob, written by Wanye of Boyz II Men.
Wow.
But it was produced by Tim and Bob. That's the oldest record that we have on our, the oldest song that we've ever recorded. You know what I mean? So that just, that just shows you the years that we have with these guys. And they understood more than anybody else what 112 needed as far as the sound was concerned. And we emulated a lot of what they taught us. A lot of our sound comes from the teachings of Tim and Bob. So I would definitely say that, Tim and Bob was, was very instrumental in the 112 sound. Commission, Take Six, Tim and Bob were very instrumental in the 112 sound.
and you know what is amazing, as I said, I interviewed As Yet, and everybody talks very highly about Commission and Tate Six, and I guess because especially Tate Six, Brian McKnight's older brother was in it. I think people forget because they weren't as commercial as every other group, but they seem to really, I mean, they were really good. First without instrumentals and stuff. What is it about them that you really? Because I wouldn't surprise you weren't saying, oh yeah, we wanted to be like Jodeci and stuff, but you went to people that other people like the big Boyz II Men and stuff were influenced by. What led you to take the Commission and Tate Six?
Well, it was probably the us studying the formation of real groups. What is the definition of a group? So, in groups, you're thinking we, us, and ours. So you have to work together as a group. And 112, we definitely strive as for like harmonies. Yeah. Harmonies were the backgrounds were just as important as the lead vocals. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, when you look at the groups such as, Take Six and Commission, yes, they had the blueprint of what we were striving to do, but we wanted to do it in the R&B genre. So it was just an amazing situation, and it was just it's just amazing.
Yeah, the first album, as I said, as I said, no one's going to doubt how big it is. Of course, you've got the main track with Biggie and stuff, but as I said, the rest of the ballads just so amazing. From Cupid to, as I said, it's an album I don't skip. How much of the writing did you guys do? Because I know subsequently on other albums, you guys surprised us how much writing you guys were doing. But on the first album, how involved were you guys on the writing and song creation on your debut album?
Well, it shouldn't have been a surprise, man, because the crazy thing was we were actually signed as writers. In addition to being artists to Bad Boy, we was actually contracted to be writers as well. We wrote for New Edition. I know that things ain't right.
You're kidding me.
We wrote that. We wrote.
You don't have to worry.
We wrote the things you do make me keep running to you. Yeah. We wrote that for Gina Thompson. We wrote records for Tanya Blunt. We wrote some records for Faith Evans. We co-wrote Caramel Kisses, You Send My Way. I won't complain, just don't go away. Yeah, we wrote that song. We wrote What I'm Thinking of, Total, Kissing You,
Brothers.
The Isley Brothers, Float On, Float On.
You kidding me?
Don't you know I want your love? Don't you know I need your love?
That Float On, wow.
Yeah, that's actually us in the background, bro.
Right. That's
the crazy thing. That's actually us singing in the background, along with the Kissing You remix, along with You Don't Have to Worry.
There's just so many of them.
Yeah. And here's a gift that I'm gonna give to all future singles and stuff. When y'all sing backgrounds on stuff, that's actually a check that you're supposed to get as well too. So don't let the record labels or anybody else tell you that you're not supposed to get paid by singing background vocals. If you sing background vocals, you're supposed to get paid along with being writing the song too. So we know 112 didn't know that at the time, but we're up on that now.
Yeah.
But, let's just move with thought for all you future artists or whatever. You sing backgrounds on somebody else's song and it makes the album, like You Don't Have to Worry. That's all Slim. That's all Slim. He was supposed to get a check for that. You know what I mean? So that's but yo, bro, we've written many a song for many a people, man. The Usher, what's the Usher? The movie that Usher did, Light It Up.
Yeah,
we did a song for him. You know what I'm saying? We wrote many of songs, man.
Yeah, we had so many songs. We have a lot of songs.
We have a lot of songs.
Our catalog is unmatched.
Yeah, and the thing was, we didn't really get the recognition, which was one of the gripes that 112 had with being with Bad Boy, because being signed to Bad Boy, the mind frame was that everything that came out of Bad Boy, Puffy was the one that did it. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to the ancillary pieces that was a part of it, i.e. 112 writing a lot of these songs. We wrote for we did a lot of records for Soul For Real. We produced some records for Tevin Campbell. You know what I mean? We were in it, man. You know what I mean? Slim did some records for Mase. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of things that we did that the world didn't understand, and that was one of the frustrations that we had with being with Sound Bad Boy. Yeah, you get the recognition of being Sound Bad Boy, but the flip side of that is all the praise went to Puffy because everybody thought that Puffy was the one that was writing the songs, producing the songs, you know, co-producing the song, vocal producing the song, and that wasn't the case. 112 was signed as writers and as artists. You know what I mean? So we did a lot of rap from the beginning to like when we left Bad Boy, we was always writing songs.
Yeah, so I think the one thing my viewers would you know, I had Timmy Gatling from Guy who, you know, who wrote all their debut albums, and then, you know, because they wanted to steal his publishing, he got kicked out of Guy. Did you guys, when you got signed, did you know about publishing and ownership and right or credits and all that stuff? Or were you just like, wow, here's Puffy and dancing and stuff and just writing and gave everything away for free? What was it? I mean, you've got a manager. Did you know about all this stuff?
Well, I would just have to say that, you know, all of us, we all came from the same neighborhood. So it's not like we were, you know, we didn't go to school. There were no music classes, or you know, we didn't. Nobody had music degrees. So it was one of those things of the school of hard knocks that, you know what I'm saying, we had to learn. But you know what though, wouldn't have it no other way, because you know, we're, you know, Mike and myself, we're quite savvy with, you know, what's going on now because of that situation. And I mean, if you ask anybody from the 90s at that era, that, you know, we all went through it, you know what I'm saying, especially your first project, you know what I mean? That's just how the 90s was built. Yeah. So don't even take it personal. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, because of the things that are happening now and the rules and stuff that are happening right now, trust me, you know, it's a blessing that 112, you know, our music has transcended to the times where laws and rules have changed, you know what I'm saying? And you know, so like, well, Mike and I, we can't sit up here and say we don't have our publishing, because we do. Okay. And you know what I'm saying? And you know, we just made sure that, you know, that when it was time, you know, to modify certain contracts or take advantage of certain things or whatever, you know, we made sure that we were straight. So
yeah. No, as I said, it's a really sad thing, because from this, you know, I think one of the things that we learned from, as I said, I've been from Damien, I've interviewed almost 60 people in the last month, and everyone talks about the business, and they were just so happy to get in it. And unfortunately, that you learn through everything, as you mentioned, not getting paid for background vocals and stuff. The success of Only You, and you've got with Biggie, did it come as a surprise how quickly you guys blew up? I mean, double platinum album, debut album, was it, or did you, I mean, were you prepared for the degree of success when you first came out?
Honestly, bro, and this isn't arrogance, this isn't hubris or anything like that whatsoever, but we knew, like, to say that would suggest that we weren't anticipating greatness if we were surprised. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look at what we accomplished. We already, if you're a firm believer in God, you believe that when he orders something, then you shouldn't be surprised about it because he ordered it. You know what I mean? It means that you were going to be successful. And the amount of work that we put in, the body of work that we put in prior to even being signed to Bad Boy, we had paid our dues, bro. You know what I mean? So we felt like that was just really the success of what we had already put into place. Like, we did the hours of practice, and we did the hours of rehearsal, we did the hours of interview coaching and things of this nature, man. Okay. So that was, so in theory, you can't do all of that stuff and not be successful. Yes. You know what I mean? So that was the mind frame that we had anyway. So to suggest that we were surprised by the success of Only You would suggest that we didn't believe that God was going to make sure that everything was all right, which he did. You know what I'm saying? So we weren't, so to answer your question, you know, more thoroughly, we weren't surprised about the success that we had. We knew that we were going to be successful. We just knew it. You know what I mean? And like, again, it wasn't arrogance. It wasn't hubris. It wasn't, you know, anything like that. We just knew, based on the amount of work that we had put in place prior to that we were going to be successful. If anything stopped us from being successful, it was going to be some outside forces. It wasn't going to be because 112 didn't put the work in.
Yeah. How did you guys manage the, you know, since you started in high school, and here, you know, you're in the industry that is like a shark pool, loads of things out there. How did you guys manage to keep yourself grounded, as at the time, the four of you, in order to sort of navigate through such a really dangerous environment?
Well, you know, I would attribute that to the first and foremost our families, and the people that we had around us, the day ones, and and just our faith in God. Like we never we had our own goals, so that's one of the I would say just the genuine pluses of not being just put together, but actually growing up with each other and actually bonding with each other and saying, because I just remember having these conversations at at grandma's crib. When I say grandma, I'm talking about Mike's grandma. So it's like, you're having these conversations and you're talking amongst family and talking amongst each other, saying what we would do if this were to happen, or watching other groups and have whatever downfalls. We study everything, good, bad, and ugly of situations. And I would definitely have to say that the connection that like Mike and myself we have, like we had those conversations. So so I don't see a surprise of like even with any type of situations that we've come across like now, that why we always end up on top. So like I said, family, the day ones, that were with us before we had anything, and our firm belief in God.
Yeah. As I said, by studying other groups, you could see that the pits of the industry can really divide and conquer. When you guys were writing for other people, it wasn't. Did all four of you start to write, or how did you manage that? Because that in itself can also cause issues if one person seems to write most of the stuff and gets the biggest slice of the royalties. What was that process like? Because I interviewed Bow-Legged Lou from Full Force, and he said, look, they made an agreement from the beginning, the three brothers and their three cousins. When we write anything, even if it's just one of us, it will be written and produced by Full Force, and we split the money 6 ways. Doesn't matter if I did everything. Mm-hmm. So, and that was their rules. So for you guys, did you have that kind of conversation as to if Mike's a better writer and he's writing most of the stuff, or Slim's doing this, or Daron, or did you guys have a conversation? How did that arrangement work with all the stuff you guys were doing?
Yeah, no, initially that was the goal too. We felt like because we had equally put the same amount of time and effort and sweat and blood and tears into this whole situation, that we felt like everybody should benefit off of everything that we do. Like, just truth be told, if we wanted to, if we really wanted to base it off of, who does what, Slim sang the majority of the leads. So, if you want to do it by that, Slim should have majority of the money as far as the shows are concerned. If you wanted to base it off of that, but no, we all basically said that, we was going to split it 4 ways at the time. And that was the initial conversation. However, over time, and you will see that the two people that still believe in that are the same people that you're interviewing, believed in the whole system of, what I do for all, for the entire group.
We, us, and I.
It's we, us, and our versus me, myself, and I. We always live by that same mantra. You know what I'm saying? Until the other two guys decided that they wanted to make everything about them. And then that's when you started to see in the divide. However, Slim and I, still believe in that same mind frame that, whatever we do, we split it both ways. Split it down the middle. I don't care if Slim wrote all of it. I don't care if Mike wrote all of it. Slim gonna get a piece of that. Just like, vice versa, whatever, because we felt like even if I didn't write on that song, the amount of things that I contribute to 112 to get him to this point where he could write to that thing,
I wouldn't have the opportunity.
I played a part in it. You know what I'm saying? And so that the trickle down effect is something real, man. So I believe in it. Now, what Slim does as a solo artist, that's Slim as a solo artist. What I do outside of 112, that's me, what I do outside. But when it pertains to 112, if it's writing, if it's producing, this and the other, my philosophy and Slim's philosophy was it goes right down the middle. You know what I mean? And you see who is here doing interviews with you today that lives by that same mantra versus, and not casting aspersion on those guys as well, but you see what happens when you go away from that frame of mind versus what got you here in the first place.
One of my favorite groups is Coldplay, and Chris Martin does most of the writing. But if you look at that stuff, it is written and produced by Coldplay.
Exactly.
U2 did the same thing. Bono says, "Look, everything's gonna be written and produced by U2. In fact, we split in 5 ways. Our manager, who's been with us for 30 years, he takes a cut because without him. So, and they're successful. They're the biggest and richest group because they keep it like that.
Right. You know, it's crazy because, you know, I guess being a lead singer, I've had the opportunities of speaking to certain very successful, you know what I'm saying, groups of eras and different genres. And I saw that, you know, at first I thought that, you know, maybe 112 was just you know, just a freak of nature, because, you know, you do hear of groups that don't do that, you know what I mean? But I spoke to other groups that did have that mind frame and always kept that situation, and told me long time ago that, you know, if you are believing in the brand and you say no man bigger than the brand, then the group is automatically successful, because you're it's just like a team that has a certain, let's say a play. Like this team right here is known for this offense or this defense or whatever. As long as you don't break that system, guarantee you there's going to be a form of success that you're going to over and over again until somebody figures it out or you stop it yourself. Most of the time you stop it yourself. So yes, that's real funny when you said Coldplay, or there's other groups that do that too that I've spoken to. I won't call their names, but I would definitely tell you that, you know, that's why, you know, it was for me, it was like disappointing when, you know, when not just us, but when not, you know, I'm saying us like me and Mike, but just us in general, or any group I hear goes away from that, strays away from, you know, being in a group. If you don't say we, us, and our, you shouldn't be in a group. You should be by yourself.
Coldplay X and Y is my favorite album from Coldplay by far. That's my greatest. I love that album. But go ahead.
There was a show. I'm not sure if you ever watched on VH1. It had Behind the Music.
You know I did, bro.
My show is based on that because they did the whole background stuff, and you watch it, and that's where you learn about the groups. You know, one lead singer, one guy writing all the tracks, makes all the money, and the others resent that, and they split. And so you start to realize that, as you said, if you come in as as the Musketeers, you know, as one for all and all for one, you carry yourselves through the goods and the bad times. Especially in the industry, as I said, you know, there's from us as fans, we would see the videos and see all the glamour, think, oh, you guys are having fun. But we're learning that behind the scenes, it's not always like that. We saw the New Edition story, you know, they're not big records, and yet they're still living at home in the projects. You know, it's, you know, going on tour and then come back and all the money's disappeared. And so you realize that if you're not as a team, it can be tough. And I'm a therapist. I'm a mental health therapist when I'm not doing this stuff.
Nice.
Depression, anxiety, all that stuff. We don't realize, you know, I interviewed LJ from Profile, and he talked about he was struggling with depression, and he said, I can't continue or I'll kill myself. And people didn't realize what it was like. But, you know, going back in, I mean, you're signed to Bad Boy. You know, they had one of the biggest stars in the world at that time, Biggie. You know, he had transcended rap and stuff. You had Craig Mack had really come out with one of the biggest rap tracks that we'd seen in a generation. The hype around Puffy, because he was like gold dust, you know, anything he just even spits on, everyone goes and buys it. How did you make sure that you don't lose your identity? Because you guys have been working since '93, you know, to form an identity. Now you're moving into Bad Boy, where he has a way of sort of, you know, I think the Locks didn't like the whole suit and stuff. How did you maintain your identity and uniqueness? What makes you guys different in the machine of Bad Boy, which, as I said, was a big success?
2 points I want to make, and I'm glad you asked that question. And I'm also glad that you spoke about mental health, because I am an advocate for mental health. You know, I speak about having, you know, a therapist, and I've been with a therapist, you know, off and on for the last 15 years. You know, I've had like at least 5 or 6 different therapists, whatever. But I'm a very strong advocate for, you know, especially with a focus on Black men having, because, you know, we deal with so much stuff, and nobody's there to, you know, other than another Black man who's going through the same thing that you're going through. You know, there's nobody there to vent, you know, vent to and express your emotions and express your feelings towards whatever. So the fact that you're doing that, I give you big props to that, man, for being an advocate and also being someone there to, because it's very important for men, especially with the focus on being Black men, especially, to be able to speak on mental health, because it's very important. Just like any other part of the body, the brain needs help as well. You know what I mean? We go through so much stuff with depression, especially this music industry, man. You know, like 1 minute you're the best thing on planet Earth, and then the next minute you haven't lost any skills. As a matter of fact, as you've gotten older, you've gotten better. But the world don't want to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying? They want to hear, you know, what you did. You know, they want to hear Cupid again. You know what I mean? Like, but I've evolved past Cupid. What are you talking about? And it's like, no. We don't want you to evolve. We want you to stay where you were. And back in 1996, we don't want you to evolve. And therein lies the depression. And, you know, we have our ups and Slim can attest to this. We have our ebb and flows when it comes to the music industry. You're the hottest thing on planet Earth 1 minute, and then the next thing you know, they like, who? You know what I mean? So it's real crazy. And there's no other drug more addictive than the music industry. I don't care what nobody else is saying. You know, and like this, because there's no cure for that. That's one. But so I really appreciate it, and I thank you for being an advocate for, you know, mental health. But with the focus on what we were talking about, like how do we maintain ourselves? Honestly,
no, but before you move to that, because as I said, I'm a therapist, and it's always about identity, and especially, you know, that sense of identity. And if your identity is the group, and, you know, your heart, that's great. As you've said, if the label pushes and you're not the priority, then you're all wrapped up in that. And unfortunately, there isn't that outlet, you know, as I said, to talk. Black men don't get depressed, and we don't have mental illness. My parents are African, Nigerian. No one has mental illness. You just have stress, but you're fine. Did you guys feel like you had the opportunity back in those days to talk about it and get help, or was it off the record and you had to hide any struggles you might have had?
I'll tell you that right now, no, because it was taboo back then. You know what I'm saying? Now, one of the great things with social media nowadays is, like, you know, if you're a homosexual, you can be a homosexual, and it's celebrated. If you're somebody who's of the LGBTQ community, you know, you can be that, and it's celebrated. If you're somebody who has mental health, you know, it's starting to get to a point now where, you know, and the thing is, all of us in some way, shape, form, or fashion need someone to talk to get that, you know, get that energy out. So it's not necessarily I have a mental issue. It's just my brain needs therapy. Just like if I was working out and then my arm got, you know, if I got a cramp in my arm, I would need therapy for that as well. You know, it's just like any other part of the body. The mind needs a break too. It needs a reboot too. And it's not necessarily like I have a mental disorder. It's more like I just need to stop overthinking. I need to stop thinking, have so much anxiety. I need to stop thinking that everybody that's out here is out to get me. You know what I mean? I have to stop thinking about whether or not this fan that's over my head is gonna fuck around and break and fall and hit me on top of my head. That's the kind of things that, you know, that we, as, you know, as artists, we always, because we're so used to being at the center of attention, and somebody always, and 99% of the time, people are out to see what they can get from you versus what we can help you get. Absolutely, man. Like I'm an advocate for mental health, and especially with the focus on African American men and just just Black men, period, because we go through so much. I did a 23andMe, which is the DNA test, and I found out that I'm like 70% Nigerian too. So yeah, so you know, I'm just, you know, I'm learning, you know, as I go along as well too, man. So but yeah, it's really hard, and it's really challenging to be a Black man in this world, no matter what part of where you're from. It's just really difficult because they feel like you have this angry Black man syndrome going on or whatever. So you're incapable of intelligent thought. You're incapable of having a cogent conversation with anybody, and without being upset or irate or whatever. So they much rather just I'd rather not talk to this guy as opposed to getting to know why he's so angry, what's going on with him, why is he the way that he is, man. And we have, and especially with African Americans, we have 400 years of oppression that we have in our background as well, man. So, and they go Slim's back too.
Yes, sorry about that.
There we go.
Yeah,
Wow.
sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It took
but
Yeah.
it's difficult, man, to be, a black man in this world, man, to try to navigate through all that. And, Slim and myself had to deal, even in the music industry, had to deal with so much racism and so much ridicule, and we'll just have to grin and bear it, because, if we say anything, then as artists, you're not supposed to, you're supposed to be better than that. You're supposed to rise above that. Like you're supposed to not let things like that happen to you, or let things like that affect you and things of that nature. And we're just as human as everybody else, man. So those are some of the things that, that we would have to deal with, man. And I think that the fact that, we're talking about mental health now is a great thing, because it allows us to familiarize and normalize talking about mental health now.
Yeah. And my thought then was that back in the early days when we talked about your identity, especially being on Bad Boy, did you guys, the four of you at the time, were you at a point where you could support yourselves to say, guys, this is what we've been training for, and let's not get too let's not stray away from what our beliefs are and our values. That was the other part of the question about how did you maintain that unique sound that you had when you joined Bad Boy?
So, one of the things that we did, it was like building blocks. Like, okay, we at first, created the sound as far as like the harmonies as well as the lead singing. Then we were blessed to be able to go right on tour. I mean, as soon as we dropped an album, we were right down the tour. Our first tour was the Isley Brothers. Wow. From there, we started learning that we wanted to be a group that was considered a touring act. With a touring act, we understood that the majority of the money that's really made through the touring revenue. We started then adding pieces and parts, watching the greats that we basically looked up to. So when you see the Isley Brothers or New Edition or Keith Sweat or Janet Jackson, like it just goes on. Like it's like we were picking up like Whitney Houston. We went to Whitney Houston. Like you pick up amazing aspects from that artist, and then we added to our repertoire. So being that ultimate touring group, because 112, we're perfectionists in ourselves. Like, just when you thought we were on top of the world, one situation, we were never content. We wanted to add more things to us. You know what I mean? So, it just in respect to us being a touring act, like, we were singing and we sounded amazing, but, we didn't want a boring show. So looking at New Edition, we were like, man, we need to learn how to perform. We need to go and we need to take it up a little bit higher. And I'm so glad that we invested our own money. You know what I mean? There were times where we were thinking crazy. It was like, I could buy this house here. We're still in the hood, but you know what? We could invest into ourselves right now. And it was, we got with choreographers, and I'm glad we did that, because then it opened up other avenues, like being on tour with Janet Jackson. You know what I mean? That opened up even more revenues. You know what I mean? And then, when groups weren't even dancing, we made dancing cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like the art of, entertainment. You know what I mean? We wanted the fans to say, if you work so hard for your money, and you know what I mean, and you want to be entertained, if you want to be entertained and get your money's worth, you're going to a 112 show. So that's exactly, and I'm so glad we're doing that. So like right now, we're of the premier, we're in the top tier of our era, you know what I mean, of our genre. You know what I mean? Because we have a stamp that says like, if you come to a 112 show, if you're on our show, you better understand, you better bring your A game. You'll you get eaten alive in a lot of ways, you know what I'm saying? Not just singing. So that's why I'm saying, like, and you know, thank goodness that, you know, that's what we were doing. We were just adding on, feeding that demon of us, the perfectionism of, you know, and not settling, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, so you know, that's pretty much how we did it.
You know, but it's amazing what you said about investing in yourself, because the best tour concert I've been to is a Mint Condition, because when you listen to them, you it's as if you listen to the album. It was just one of that, and you know. But so my two tours where I went on a New Edition Home Again tour, and you know they had Bobby come out, they had BBD, they had Ralph and Johnny, then they all came together. It was almost like Blackstreet opened for them with No Diggity, so you could see it was just an unbelievable. But as you said, they were, any poll I do now, if 6,000 people would vote, New Edition would always come on top, not because of the music, but it was because their performance. Even as old as they are, they would still not lock it down, and they learned that from the beginning. How did you guys? You said you invested in yourself. Did you look to them and say, stage-wise, we need to emulate them? Because it's not easy for singing groups. Because I've seen Boyz II Men back when they had the Evolution album and they tried to dance around. It didn't seem to fit because we knew Boyz II Men as amazing vocalists. So when they were dancing around and doing, the Puffy produced a track for them. I can't remember what it was called. But when they were performing that, it just didn't look right because Boyz II Men were the vocalists and it dancing around didn't seem to fit. How did you guys manage? Because you guys are amazing harmonizing vocalists, but the performance to that, most other groups who dance and choreograph don't have what you guys had.
Well, we were able to get away with it, man, because we created a new genre on our own, man. Because prior to 112, no R&B artist was successful at singing over hip hop beats. 112 created that hip hop R&B sound, and we don't get a lot of credit for that. And I'm telling you this now, man, so you can, you know, help along, you know, the cause when we had these interviews with her. Like you can say, listen, man, 112 was the one that you know, when you go around the table and you talk to other people about R&B, you can tell them 112 was the ones that created that hip hop and R&B vibe. Us along with Mary J. Blige, because there was no R&B artist that was successfully on a consistent basis singing over hip hop beats before 112. And I dare you to find somebody else that can do it. I dare you, like we can see it right now. And I dare you to find somebody who can sing over R&B, who can sing R&B songs over hip hop beats. There wasn't any. 112.
Well, I did interview Buddy Weeks from Intro, so they would probably say, yeah, well, Kenny Green was, you know, he wrote all the Mary stuff.
No.
Okay.
And look, I would argue, like we can get him on the phone right now. We can get him what I mean by successfully do it consistently over a period of time.
The intro do
One song ain't it.
That's why I say the intro do it. Like I understand Kenny as a writer. You know what I'm saying? Like we wrote a lot of songs for a lot of, you know, successful, you know, ourselves. But you know, Mike just said something there, like consistently over and over again, singing records over hip hop beats. And I mean, at 112, we really didn't have a weak link because we've had successful multi-platinum ballads, we've had successful multi-platinum mids, and those up tempos, which here we go, mids and ups were straight hip hop beats, straight, and we would do the records with rappers that you wouldn't even think, you know what I'm saying? Who would think that we would be singing Cupid and write this ballad, I love you type song, and then all of a sudden, and then also do a multi-platinum #1 record with Mobb Deep, let's say, or Notorious B.I.G. See, that's why I said like what Mike was just saying right there. Like 112, that was our niche, and then you know we transcended, and you know you had people trying to emulate it.
Yeah, no, as I said, no, I mean, it's to come up with 5, 6, 7 albums as an R&B group is almost unheard of in the 90s because the shelf life was very hard because loads of competition. And what is strange that it wasn't, you know, you had an amazing debut album, then you go platinum with your second, then your third goes double platinum, you know, Peaches and Cream. You know, that, you know, it was just like, wow. and the consistency definitely was there. But did you then because the one gripe we did have with some groups was maybe using the backing tracks, just being lazy and just say, okay, we just have a backing track, while others like, okay, we're investing in ourselves, we'll get a band and really, change things around. Did you guys was there the option, was that something you had to pay for, getting a live band, or did you decide it's cheaper for us to get a backing track and save some money on that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We 112 mindset was always to be better than our constituents. We wanted to be better than Drew Hill. We wanted to be better than Jagged Edge. We wanted to be better than Next. We wanted to be better than As Yet or anybody else that came out during the time that we came out with. And so we figured what was some of the things that we were going to be able to do that were, going to be leaps and bounds better than everybody else. What Slim alluded to earlier, where we put money, instead of taking that advance and spending it on cars and houses and women and all this other stuff, we took that money and we invested in ourselves, and we went and we got into a rehearsal studio. Wow. And we started learning how to dance, so it didn't look corny, that it didn't look like we were trying too hard to be something that we weren't, and we made it look natural to where it was part of who we were, and that added on another 20 years into our career. And so that was the mindset that 112 had with that. What are some of the things that we can do that we know that we can do better than everybody else? We knew that as a group we could dance better than anybody else. We knew that as a group we could sing better than anybody else. And so along with those lines, what do we need to do? We need to find a band. Let's create this band. Let's get this band that understands our band, that understands what the 112 sound is. Wow. And what we would like, and then just create, that whole vibe. So when you came and saw us, you saw a live band, and the expectation would be that you have a live band with 112 when we perform, and then anything less than that would be lower than, so we can command more dollars when we go outside and perform and stuff. So the band was very vital for 112 to do that. Yes. It's almost second nature that you would get a band if you're an R&B singer. Like, you need a band, like at the end of the day, you need a band. You can do the band in the box, where people come in and they play over your tracks and stuff. But it's nothing. It's not like having an actual band who can understand, who can vibe with you, who can slow stuff down with you, who can speed things up with you, who can play along with what you're singing. Things of that nature, whatever. It's a lot to be said about having your actual band with you versus a band in the box, is what you described. Yeah.
I mean, you think about Big Bob and Today, their band was Basic Black. So Basic Black was their playing band, and then when the guys headed their own split, Basic Black became their own group. But even Guy, I mean, I've interviewed them, and they've talked about how when they put up a show, the band, it was really different. So none of that. Teddy was very much of a perfectionist. We need to sound better than the record and do all the remixes and stuff. I guess I think one of the big things that I wanted to find out is, you talked about getting a manager. You talked about learning about the touring and commanding more money. Who does that? Is it you guys thinking, oh, we need to make more, we need to invest in ourselves because we can get more money on tours, or we're going to make less money on this and that? Does the manager not say, guys, this is the business, this is what's going on, and we're going to do this, and you have a discussion? Or is it you guys having to start reading and looking and finding out and telling the manager this is what we're doing? What was that relationship like?
Well, you know what? There was a combination of both. Like, of course, just the definition of a manager, their job is to manage what, I mean? So us as artists, we have to give the firepower to the people that are supposed to be working at our, for us. So, like Mike and myself, like, we think of all kinds of ways that, that will definitely build the brand and take the brand to the next level. A lot of things, we're sitting here talking about just the talent situation of it. It's only 20% of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of other things that go on with this music industry. So, we just like to be ahead of the ball, as far as a lot of things. So you're recognizing exactly where you are in your career, and what you need to go to the next level, and then you reach out for it, and then you hold people accountable. So we have a team that knows us from day one. They know exactly what they are. They don't try to step on each other's toes. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. They master in that. Just like Mike and myself, we master it on the stage. You know what I'm saying? So there are certain things that, you know, we will have ideas and this, whatever. And, when we do our situation, chances are we have really, we're students of the game. So we've probably done our research, done homework. This is what we got to do. If we're not doing it now, this is what we need to do. Yeah. Then we have a team that actually knows how to do certain things and then puts it in front of us. You know what I'm saying? So there are no weak links. There are no anything. So, that's why I say, like, we can attest that with us making sure that the brand is still moving at the pace that it's supposed to be. And, our ultimate is to, have that star on the Walk of Fame and, the induction of the Hall of Fame. So, that's basically what we're doing.
And I think that's the big thing, that if, when you start to have that as a vision and a goal, I guess it pushes you to not settle. I always remember Mike Singletary, who was with Chicago Bears, and he came and told us at a conference about how he had a dream at 5 years old that he was going to win the Super Bowl, and he was dead poor living, and he had this, he wrote it down, that's what I'm going to do. And he talked about having a vision, writing it down, and almost willing it to come true, So having that, Walk of Fame, and Hollywood star, and rock, being inducted, that then makes you guys say, we've not even arrived, so we need to keep pushing. The question that we all have is, first 3 albums are blowing up. Then I always remember the controversy with, when you signed, did you sign a 3-album deal or 5-album deal or 7-album deal back in those days with Bad Boy, or was it open to interpretation, or what?
It was 7 years and 7 albums.
7 years, 7 albums. Yeah. Which it's almost like, it doesn't make sense having 7 albums.
That's unheard of nowadays.
7 albums is like, 12 years of slavery. I mean, how do you sell? Who comes up with 7 albums? I'm praising you guys that you came up with all these albums over 30 years, taken. So how did you, then we heard that you are planning to go to Def Jam or Def Soul at the time, and it didn't seem to make sense from an outsider's point of view, because Bad Boy was still one of the biggest independent labels then. Def Soul was just picking up. They had a few groups going in, but it was still starting up. So it didn't seem to make sense to us that you were jumping ship, but we didn't think legally, how could you possibly do that? Now, of course, all I can go through is the Wikipedia and the press is to say, oh, you were discontent with certain things, so you wanted to jump ship. But from an insider's point of view, how was that time for you guys? The stress and was there unity in, we're going to do this? Or did some say, yeah, no, let's stay?
We weren't really stressed, more so than we were fed up. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't really stressful because we were still making money on the touring and stuff. So we weren't really stressed as far as that goes, but we were definitely fed up because we had heard, like everybody else, that Puffy was the reason why we were so successful, and he was a puppeteer and we were the marionettes, you know what I mean? Like, so it wasn't, we had gotten frustrated with hearing a lot of that for the first 7 years of our career, that the only reason why we were successful was because of Puffy's in his hand. While he played a major part in it, 112 was very instrumental in our success as well. We put in the hard work. We put in the hours of rehearsal. We put in the hours of studio. We put in the hours of writing, as well, but it didn't get highlighted, back then, for whatever reason, it didn't get highlighted. And, through no fault of anybody's, that's just how it was. And so, that was that man, and that was the way that his corporation and his company worked. And, if you're assigned to him, that's how, that's what it was. We felt like it was time for a change with us, but this being said, and I can say this on, your platform as well, just so everybody knows, our intent was not to leave Bad Boy. We were not, our initial intent was not to leave. Our intent was to be, to get out from under the production deal that we were signed to through Bad Boy, which was taking, what, 80% of what, 40%, I'm sorry, 40% of everything that we made. So from advances to touring, to shows, to anything that we made, endorsements, advertisement, anything that we made, the production company that we were signed to took 40% of that. So we were tired of, giving our money away basically for free, because we were the one that was writing, we was the one that were producing, we was the one that was, that was doing all the years of choreography and stuff. Now in the beginning, yeah, it may have made sense for you to have a production company or an A&R or somebody there in artist development to help us, mold us. But once we are established and we are 112, it became obsolete at that point, and we felt like a change was necessary. So we wanted to leave that situation, not necessarily leave Bad Boy, but leave that situation. Puffy was reluctant to leave that situation alone with regards to 112. So that's the reason why we left, and when we found a better situation over at Def Jam.
Wow. So the production deal that you guys have, because was that on the Bad Boy? Did they have a production company signed to Bad Boy?
It was Arista,
Yeah.
it was Arista, Bad Boy, Kalimia. That was the production deal, 112.
Okay.
So we were signed to Kalimia, who then signed themselves to Bad Boy, who was signed to Arista.
Yeah.
So
It's an administrative deal, yes.
Yeah. So you can understand the trickle down effect. So by the time Arista gave us $1 million, by the time it got to us, it was $12,000 a piece. You know what I'm saying? But we were still on the hook for that $1 million though.
Yeah.
So,
So that
Right.
Kalimia, was that Puffy's stuff, or was that somebody else?
No, that was the manager / production company. So there was the conflict of interest right there in and of itself. He was the manager and the production company at the same time.
So then why was Puffy reluctant to say, well, you guys you've done well, because I thought most deals were like that, where after your first album and it does well, it was like, well, we can bring you into the fold because we can see that you're self-sufficient and stuff.
Honestly, we don't have an answer to that other than the fact that the relationship that he had with the then manager / production company at the time. Like outside of that, I honestly don't have a reason why. Because if you have a multi-platinum group that is selling records and making money for you, why wouldn't it make sense for you to try to keep them as long as you possibly could? And if it meant, giving up a production company in order to keep them, then in my mind, then it would have made the most sense to do.
Yeah.
However, because of their relationship, and like I said, I can't go into any more depth than that, but based on their relationship, the reason why we left and went to Def Jam, Def Soul is because Puffy was reluctant to get rid of that production deal that we were signed to.
Yeah. Then when you get to Def Soul, what's the difference coming up with an album there compared to when you are on Bad Boy? What's I mean, for you, four of you at the time, was there sort of a different vibe, a different energy, or?
Yeah. Yes. Bad Boy is a boutique label, and I would say Def Jam, it was really like they would supply. So they were like they expected you to have all of the pieces together, and you put everything together, as opposed to where with Bad Boy was a little bit more hands-on, where everything was catered, to you. So you had the accesses to like Hitman, this, that, another, what I mean? They had it around you. Yeah. So with Def Jam, they just gave you the platform, and there you go. You put your situation out there. So I mean, that's why I kind of contribute that to the fourth album, even though, like I said, whatever successes that we had with the fourth album probably wasn't as deserved, you know what I'm saying? Like, but we didn't have a standout record or anything like that. And regardless of what type of powers that certain people had as far as putting records together and this or whatever, didn't quite know what the hell they were doing. So that's why I said that at the fourth album was one, but then we quickly adjusted, and that's the reason why we had Here We Go on the fifth album. The fifth album goes platinum, and we have a top 5 or whatever record we had there. So platinum.
I mean, if on reflection, I mean, there is the understanding about the production deal and how much that's, you want to get away from that. I think I spoke with Changing Faces, same thing with Intro, when they left their production deal, and went direct to, both of them went direct to, I can't even remember the name of their right as Atlantic. They realized that, wow, they've got Brandy, they got all this stuff to go on. So it was pretty much, here's the schedule, get your stuff out. And that hands-on sort of touch and that support to push and get the singles on the radio and everything wasn't there. It was almost like you do it yourself. And it almost affected their own album sales once they went direct. Did you, when you saw how Def Jam worked, being a massive label as it was, did you then think, wow, this is still better than the situation we had before? Or did you think, oh man, if we were back at Bad Boy, we probably would have gone those singles out and stuff?
Financially, it was a better situation. You know what I mean? Definitely better.
Never would have made that money. No, we'd have never made that money.
At Bad Boy, we would have never made that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? That we made at Def Jam. The problem with that is we had come from, like Slim said, we had come from a boutique label, which was more hands-on, whereas Def Jam was more of, we're gonna help you guys help you, basically. Like, you're gonna come in with your system in place. You got to come in with your corporation, your VP, your CEO, your CFO, your COO. All of those people are in place, and all they doing is funding you the money, and then they get their return. That's what Def Jam pretty much was, versus Bad Boy, where they were more hands-on and they were more intricate with your development, versus Def Jam, who was like, look, baby, I just want, like what Al Davis said with the Raiders, just win, baby. just win, baby. Like, look, I don't care how you get there. I just need you to win. That's what Def Jam's mindset was. So they didn't really care how the platinum album got made. They just wanted it to be platinum album, versus Bad Boy, where they cultivated you and they nurtured you. And it was more hands-on. So that was one of the things that we were ill prepared for, because we were so used to being hands-on and people being hands-on with us, and people, kind of guiding us this way and guiding us that way. Well, we felt like we were ready, but at the end of the day, as a unit, some of us may have been ready, but as a unit, we were ill prepared for the kind of machine that Def Jam was. So as a result of that, it did not give the same the desired effect or the desired results that we were looking for. Like, they were looking for a part 3 once we got to Def Jam, and because of the fact that we had so much freedom, we didn't know what to do with it. You know what I mean? Versus that Bad Boy, you know what I'm saying? It was like, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this. You got to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. So that's pretty much what what we had to do at Bad Boy. So we worked with, we gave you the best of what we had, versus Def Jam, where you had whatever you wanted. And as a result, we came in, under expectations or whatever, man. So that was the difference between being at a major versus being at a boutique. You know what I mean? Like, they wanted you to already be a corporation in and of yourself.
Wow.
Because we were learning to be a corporation in and of ourselves at Bad Boy, learning the game, but still was under that mindset that, Def Jam was going to be there to help cultivate us, help grind, help push us to the next level. Where Def Jam was like, look, we gave y'all the money, go make us a hit.
So the one question I had was, how come Clive did not see what was going on and say, okay, let's sign you guys directly to Arista? Was that ever an option?
Well, without, disturbing things that we probably can't talk about.
Yeah,
listen,
no.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, there was other things there were other things that were going on at that time.
Okay.
And so basically there was a negotiation going on, and at the same time, and it came around the same time as negotiation with us. So I just think that, at the end of the day, financially, 112 made the best decision we possibly could have done.
Yeah.
Now, like, because we would have never made that kind of money ever in our life. But
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? But then that being said, that, you know, with us, there are no regrets. There was only experiences.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why I said you could talk about the fourth album, then let's talk about the fifth album. Because see, with 112, you know, we learn how to adapt and adjust with everything. And I think that comes the roots of where we're from and just our families, and, you know what I'm saying, just the things that we've been, you know, it was just like us. When I think about it, when I look at Mike and I think about the times that the certain talent shows, and, you know, in areas that we weren't supposed, in areas that we weren't supposed to be in because maybe of our hoods or whatever, we still conquered those situations, you know what I'm saying, because of how we adapted to situations, you know what I'm saying? So that being said, yes, the fourth album started off rough. It started off rough, you know what I mean? And we learned a lot about the business and about ourselves and about each other.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Yeah. And then that's why when the fifth album came out, thank God for certain people that actually believed with us that, hey, you know what I mean? This industry it's chess, not checkers. So just because you're at a disadvantage of this one game does not determine your whole tournament. So, and at the end of the day, 112 always wins the tournament.
There was a song on your fifth album that I heard you say. I can't remember the name of the song, where you talk about we wrote all our stuff, all our hits. There was a song you guys were singing on that.
You said on the fourth album, it's called Every Day, which I don't even want to talk about that. Okay. Because at the end of the day, you know, let's just say this, like, there were certain things that were happening when I would say, you can't just look at the labels or whatever, you know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff that needs to be handled starts from the inside too. So there were a lot of things that was going on in the group that, you know what I mean, that should have been addressed long time ago. And a lot of times when you are listening, you are everybody out there in the world, the millions of people that supports 112, you're growing with us and you're watching us. In effect, it's almost like a reality show, but we're doing it through song. Our whole lives are out there. So just like the successes, there are some mishaps that pop too. And you all are probably scratching your heads like, man. And you know, the great thing about our situation was the fact that there was no social media. Thank God. So, you know what I mean? That, you know, so there are a lot of things that, you know, at our times we could substitute or mask with success, musical success. But that, you know, but that being said, on certain albums, sometimes the writing was on the wall right there in front of y'all in albums. So, you know, that particular record, you know what I'm saying, don't define all everybody. It just what I say, like, at the end of the day, fourth album was what it was. 112, the brand adjusted. And on the fifth album, you now see another platinum top, you know what I'm saying? Another platinum album on your fifth album at that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now name groups that can say that, you know what I'm saying? And have those type of situations. So this is a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, most groups don't get to do 3 albums, not to talk of 5 and 6 and stuff like that. We talked earlier about mental health, and I wonder when your first time getting dropped or leaving or parting companies with Def Jam, how was that on you guys as a foursome, having to be told, yeah, we're parting companies? Because I think we always have to be aware that it's not just the fact that the groups aren't selling, it's the fact that the industry had shifted to invest in hip hop. So they were spending a lot more on hip hop, and R&B was across the board was being squeezed out. But for Def Jam to say, guys, you know, we're not going to go win the third album, well, what was that like on you guys?
Sure, it was traumatic, man. Like I would attest it to being similar to an athlete who was signed to, you know, a certain city for years, and then they've been told that they've been traded. you know what I'm saying, to another team, or they've been dropped, or they've been cut to another team. Like you put your heart and your soul into whatever it is. Like when we moved to Def Jam, we were Def Jam at that point. You know, you couldn't tell us nothing. We were Def Jam for life. You know what I'm saying? It was like, just like where we were with Bad Boy, it was Bad Boy for life. Then we moved to Def Jam. You know, we was all dedicated to Def Jam as well. So, you know, once they gave us the word that, you know, they were no longer looking to partner with 112, it was hard. It was bittersweet. You know, on the one hand, they let us go without us owing anything, or you know, or us having to repay anything, like things of that nature or anything. So yeah, they just let us go free, you know, free and easy. But at the same time, we were left at a point where, you know, they felt like 112 was on a decline. So, you know, not a lot of record labels was filling 112 at that point as far as that goes. So, you know, we could have easily gone out, you know, our own way, went independent, created our own records or whatever, so forth and so on. But prior to that, man, you know, that's the bitter and that's the sweet of it. It's like we was able to etch out our own, you know, our own legacy and our own career how we wanted to. However, all of us weren't of the same mind frame when it came to that. You know what I mean? So and 112 at that time, you had to be a unit of 4 in order to move forward with anything. If you had one person that felt this way and 3 other people felt another way, then it wasn't gonna work. Or 2 people feeling one way, 2 people feeling another way, it just wasn't gonna work. You know what I mean? And so as far as that business aspect was concerned, so it was definitely a trying time for us, and it did not feel good initially when we were told that we were no longer wanted or we were no longer needed, you know, on a major record label, whatever. So yeah, no, it was bittersweet, man. It was good. The good of it was we were able to etch out our own legacy at that point, but the bad of it was now that we were dropped by Def Jam, the stigma of being dropped by a label was always going to be there. So of course, in the music industry, everything is word of mouth. So if Def Jam let us go, then that means Atlantic heard that we would let go. Jive was heard that we would let go. So Def was heard that we would let go. The Face was heard that we was let go. Arista was heard that we had let go. And so the question, what's the reason why Def Jam let them go? Are they no good? Can they not sell records? Can they do that? And that's that stigma that comes along with it too, man. So, you know, we had to navigate through all of that.
Yeah. Here, you know, you come up with the, you know, Q, Mike, Slim, and Duran, and that comes out 2017. You're coming in on an independent label. I think that was E1. And I think by this time we've got a lot more digital, so it's not the same as, you know, you having to release singles and stuff. What was that experience like going from, you know, first you've got the ultimate marketing label called Def Bad Boy, then you've got Def Jam Universal, which was, you know, massive money was coming from everywhere, going in on an independent route. When it comes to doing the album and then having it sort of being promoted, because I could probably it helps you guys now with your own independent stuff, but how was it doing that particular album and watching it sort of come out to the public?
Oh, me or you, Mike?
I think it's you.
Okay, well, I mean, that album, I mean, personally, it's kind of hard for me to even listen to. But the situation altogether, I would just say the opportunity was amazing. The opportunity was amazing because, you know, the whole concept of it was to put out a project, you know, which felt like the fans were owed that. It was a long time. You know, the last time we had put out a project, 2005, you know. So we just felt like that it was needed, and it was supposed to be in conjunction of a tour, a world tour that was supposed to be set up all together. Yeah. And I mean, it didn't play its part the way it's supposed to because of a lot of factors. I'm not going to talk about all that stuff now, but yeah, I would just say I would just say that, you know, just the opportunity to be able to still get deals and still get situations and you know, actually we kind of surpassed what we were supposed to do. Let's just say that too, like on like on a like paper wise. It did what it's supposed to do. But you know, the whole thing with projects and, you know what I mean, getting back together and stuff like that is like you're reintroducing yourself, and it's supposed to be a long period of time.
Yeah.
So anytime that doesn't happen for myself personally, that's more of a failure. So it doesn't matter how much money we made, you know what I'm saying, or what type of situations that happen or whatever, just a little disappointing, you know what I'm saying? You know, not just only to myself, but just for the fans in general. Because, you know what I'm saying, like coming back, you know, I know what I had in mind and what I personally promised. And, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, there were a lot of sacrifices made. Yeah. But but the great thing about it is that, you know, for the ones that, you know, definitely were looking for, you know, for guys to get back together and you know what I'm saying, and do a project and actually see us or whatever. It started off being what it's supposed to, you know what I'm saying, what it's supposed to do. But what it did was it actually sent Mike and I into a situation where we now know business-wise what to do. And now we're reaping the benefits of, you know, looking at the past and what was done, yeah, and how things were being done. And now that, you know, there's a cohesiveness and where there's no ulterior motives or anything like that, you know what I mean? Now, you know, this is not a hobby, this is a business. And my business for my brother is to make sure that he's straight too. I love his kids and his family just like I love mine. I love my team and their families just as much as I love mine. We, us, and our. That's what it's really for. We're not chasing billboards anymore. 30 million records underneath our belt. So we're not chasing billboards. Let the younger kids do that. What are we doing now? We're supposed to be adding to our legacies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at Stevie Wonder with his catalog. How many albums he done? All of them didn't hit the Billboard. Yeah. Does not diminish everything. 112, we're blessed to have, you know, 5 out of 6 or something like that, where, you know, we've always been successful. You know what I'm saying? Like, probably better than any group that's out.
Yeah.
But that being said, you know what I'm saying? It's like now we're the touring, what we concentrate on is being the touring artists. Touring artists go out here, and everybody knows when you hear 112 on the radio saying we're coming into any parts of the world, you know what time it is. We're selling out arenas, we're closing them. We're not just a part of it.
Yeah. So
that's what we're striving for, and that's what we've been doing on a consistent basis until COVID had happened. So,
yeah, you know, yeah. Well, I know you're touring with my guys Blackstreet. I interviewed both Eric and Levi recently, and I'm good friends with Chauncey. But so I know you guys are going to Vegas and other places with them shortly. But when Michael left Boyz II Men, it took us a long time to adjust to the three of them. But because vocally they were very distinct in vocally, we've sort of adapted to the three of them as it is. But the same thing happened when Dawn left En Vogue. You know, I think it really affected their third album because she was, you know, she sang lead on that Don't Let Go, and then she leaves when they're about to come out their third album. When you guys go on tour, you know, from a lot of us knowing 112 as 4 guys harmonizing and performing, how did you guys adapt and adjust to just the 2 of you guys instead of the 4? And what was the initial response from the fans?
The initial reaction from the fans was confusion at first, you know, because they were trying to figure out who these other 2 dudes that we had on stage with us were, and they were our dancers, you know what I mean? And, we had a lot of debate about whether or not we should put microphones in their hands and all this other stuff. And Slim and I just said, no, man, listen, we're the singers. We are 112. These guys are our background dancers. And, we got to make sure that that's known, that that's what's going on right now, and not that we're trying to replace, anybody in 112, because we do understand that, like, regardless of whether or not these guys are in the group or not, those other former members or not, we understand that people remember 112 and people have fond memories of it being a 4-man group. So it would have done a disservice to us to try to reinvent that. You know what I mean? So rather than us do that, we just said, look, take the microphones out of these dudes' hands and let them be dancers, because that's exactly who they are. We're the ones singing the songs. We're gonna, I'm gonna occasionally dance, Slim gonna occasionally dance, but for the most part, them dudes are background dancers. You know what I mean? Let them be dancers. Me and Slim will sing the leads, and that will be the new dynamic that is 112. You'll still have the 112 sound because I did a lot of the background, Slim did a lot of the leads, and you're still gonna get that same sound, but it's an adjustment period for everybody. I mean, nobody feels more disappointed in how everything went down than Slim and myself. You know what I mean? Because we understand, not even for a personal standpoint, but from a business standpoint, what it meant for us to go out as a duo versus going out as a quartet. Now, there have been situations where we could have added known name artists, huge or solo artists that were dying to be in 112, but we decided against that. At the time, because our mindset was, we need to establish to the world that 112, regardless if there's 1, there's 2, there's 4, there's 15 people that's in the group, that you're still going to get the same sound, you're still going to get the same kind of energy that you would if it was the original 4-man group, which is another reason why 112 came out with the EP.
Yeah. Does the fans will always hope, they talk about Guy, Timmy Gatlin joining Teddy and all that coming back. They always hope. And you guys, if you've known each other since the early 90s or late 80s, you guys have gone through thick and thin. Is there ever, regardless of music, on a human level, are you guys just cordial? If you see each other on the street, do you walk past, or would you give a high five, what's going on and stuff, outside of business, just human beings as people that you've grown up with? Okay.
So I can't speak for Slam yet, but I haven't spoken to them dudes in like over 3 years. So
I mean, the last time I seen him was in court, and let's just say, let's concentrate on the we's, us, and ours, and saying the 112, like the brand.
When you guys, and I saw on your Instagram, the 112 Instagram account, and it says we can't wait for you guys for us to do this live show again. But I saw 4 guys all dressed the same, dancing and before the performance, and I was like, wow, was this an old footage, or was it the 2 of you guys with your background dancers wearing the same outfits?
It was the 2 of us and the 2 dancers.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's honestly, that's how we've been able to get away with it initially, and but now we're at a point now where we're telling everybody, hey, listen, this is the new 112. You know what I'm saying? You can either love it or you can not love it or whatever. But this is how we're moving forward. Now, for the last 3 years, you've been loving our new EP. You've been loving the performance. You've been coming out to the shows, and now all of a sudden that you realize that it's not the 2 original members that's in the background. Now you don't like us or whatever. Like, come on, man. Like, that's more of a reflection on who you are as a person versus what we're doing as people. What we're trying to do is keep the legacy going. What we are doing, what we're doing is keeping the legacy going and providing for our families. We still got kids. We still got responsibilities and stuff. Am I supposed to not take care of my kids because 112 ain't built the same way that you remember? No, it doesn't happen. Like, life doesn't happen like that. Yeah. So we're gonna continue making moves, and at the end of the day, as long as you still get the 112 sound, you still get the 112 vibe as far as the shows are concerned or whatever, then what does it matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's behind me and Slim, dancing and stuff, because hell, he and I were doing the majority of the singing any damn way.
Yeah. I saw you guys came up with some new videos, and it felt as if you had Hype Williams do the videos. And I'm thinking, going independent and still be able to not just the music, but the visuals at that kind of level and quality. I was like, wow, who's backing you guys in order that you are able to not drop the standard? Because I've seen some artists coming out with videos that almost looks as if they just got their friend on a video on their phone to start recording it. So it really shocked me. Yeah.
That way, you know what? That was Mike and I coming together and saying that we're not going to settle for anything, and you know, and here we go. We reap the benefits of that. Like Mike and I by ourselves have a top 10 record. So you can't tell us what we can't do. Worst thing to do is tell our brand what we can and cannot do. So and you know, as far as the you know, having the dancers, that's been going on for what, 3.5 years, and nobody don't have no problem with it right now. So it's just like, you know, it was a situation about 3 years ago, you know, where Mike and I was looking at each other like, what do you think, bro? You know what I mean? And for us, it was just like back in the day, like in talent shows, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't care. We didn't have, if we came up there and we had the intent of doing what we're going to do, and they tell us, hey, we don't have but one mic. Now, the way we practice and, you know what I mean, how we, you know, what we did at Mike's grandma crib, you know what I mean, we practice one way, but 112, the one great thing about 112, we successfully know how to adapt. So that's what makes us, in effect, one of the characteristics that makes us different from others. Yeah. So we don't dwell in the past. You like the past is great, you know what I'm saying? But what we do now, it affects our future. We look forward to our future. So it's just like, no, you know, we get the phone calls of the unsongs and the stuff like that. And no, our book is not, the chapters aren't over yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still have some things that we need to accomplish. And now that we kind of know that it's going in that direction, hey, look, I mean, at the end of the day, Mike and I, we started just our mind frame of what were we thinking about when we, you know, when Mike said, hey, I could be in this group, and what, you know, we talk about that. We still do. We're still students of the game. So now things are different. All that stuff in the 90s, that is different now. So now we are in the age of digital. That's what you said. 112 were one of the premier brands that jumped off VERZUZ, and now having stake into things like Triller, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a whole nother level going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that whole, it's not simple. Like in the 90s, we mastered that. When the 2000s came, we mastered that situation too. Now we're in this situation right here where digital, we're mastering that situation too. And I think it's time for us to reach back and, you know what I mean, and help some younger artists, and you know what I'm saying, which we're doing that too now. We're helping other artists get to a situation using the knowledge and the resources that we have. And you know what I'm saying? Because that's that time now. We've been doing it for 25 years. You know, we've achieved any type of success that anybody could have. Well, I don't think 112, we're blessed that we're, you know, we've seen it all. We've performed in every arena, huge arena. We've been everywhere in the world 1 billion times. Now it's time for us to even elevate our brand even more and reach back and help others. So that's where we are right now.
It's not everyone that has a Grammy award. Even my favorite group of all time, Guy, never got a Grammy or anything. So it's not an easy accomplishment. Do you guys plan to develop your own artists and release artists, or is it just really going to be focused on the 112 brand?
That's always a possibility. However, I feel like our strength lies within ourselves and being able to, you know, keep the 112 legacy going, because like Slim said earlier, we still got a lot to accomplish with 112. We still got to get that the star on the Walk of Fame. We still got to get that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame award. Hell, we got to get a Hall of Fame for Georgia. You know, the city that we're from, you know, the state, the city that we're from, we still haven't received the kind of accolades that comes with being from this city as well, man. Like, you know,
That's in the works.
yeah, it's awesome, awesome. But it, you know, until this day, you know, it still feels like we're redheaded stepchildren, man. And so I would really love for, you know, for Atlanta to start acknowledging 112 the same way they do Outkast and Goody Mob and Killer Mike and T.I. and, you know, because we're actually from the city. Like, we're born and raised, you know, what they call it Grady babies. Like, I'm an actual Grady baby. You know what I mean? So, you know, and so that, you know, it's really, it's crazy to me how, you know, and I get it, you know, because we were signed to Bad Boy and things of that nature. People kind of get it confused that, you know, maybe we were from New York or New Jersey or whatever, up top somewhere. But no, we're born and raised from Atlanta, man. And those are the kind of acknowledgement, because we won all the white folk awards. You know, we got the Moon Man, we got the Grammys, we got the, you know, we got all of those awards and accolades and stuff.
Yeah.
But it would be nice for us to receive something from our people, something from where we come from, where it all originated from. NAACP Image Awards.
Yeah.
We would love to have those kind of things, man. So, you know, those are our goals right now. So to answer your question thoroughly, while it's not out of the question as far as us developing new artists and things of this nature, I think the most pertinent thing for Slim and myself is to keep establishing this 112 machine now, because now we're up against the wall even more so, you know, because now it's not a 4-man group, it's a 2-man group now. So now we got to reprove ourselves over and over again, you know what I'm saying, to these people that don't believe that just because it's only 2 of us, that we're capable of success. And that's where we are right now.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I always, when I'm wrapping up my interviews, I always ask my guests that if you were stuck in an elevator and you were told, look, you're going to be there for about 2 or 3 hours, and you had a choice of a movie to watch, what would you request? What movie would you request?
Me, it'll be Usual Suspects.
Okay. Slim?
Oh man, that's hard. I mean, it would have to be a classic. You know, if I'm stuck in an elevator, I think I need to be amused. So you know what? Adam Sandler movie, 50 First Dates.
Oh, that's a good one with Drew Barrymore. Okay. Now they're about to put on the movie, but they say, look, it'll take a few minutes. What song would you want to listen to before the movie comes on?
For me, it would be Human Nature, Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Before it comes on?
Yeah, so they're about to put on the movie, but it's, you know, you kind of reach in your archives. You've got that song that you're always like, yeah, that's my jam.
I don't know. I'll probably say anything by Babyface.
Okay. Did you guys ever get to work with him?
Oh man, we got a story. actually, the crazy thing is, and I'll keep it short, you know, but actually Cupid came from the fact that we were supposed to work with Babyface and we ended up not working with him for budget reasons. But at the end of the day, Cupid came from the fact that we couldn't work with Babyface, but we were slated to work with him. So that's where Cupid came from.
But yeah, it doesn't sound like. So, what did it come from his camp, or did you guys, or where did it?
No, we wrote. Okay. No, so basically, we couldn't afford Babyface prices at the time.
125.
Yeah. So you know, we were at the tail end of our first album. The budget was what it was. I think we had about $10 left in the budget. And Puff had this great idea that at this time we wanted to go work. You know, y'all need a record with Babyface. Now keep in mind, he had just done Boys to Men. He had just done the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack. Yeah. All of this stuff. So he's Babyface at this point. Like, he's Babyface.
Oh yeah.
So his minimum is 125. You know what I mean? And we didn't have 125 in the budget. So we went back and we was like, we met him and he loved our sound. He wanted to work with us the whole 9. But then, you know, when he came back with that number, we was like, ooh, Face, we can't do that. But we had the brilliant idea to say, you know what, let's go ahead and create a record that sounds similar to what he did. And actually, if you listen to Cupid, it has the same chord progressions as When Can I See You Again, which is the record where it originated from.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was one of your biggest hits, though. Can you imagine that? It was. I mean, and that's the thing. As I said, I liked about the first album that it didn't have too many sort of, some albums have, okay, this bulk of it is what is by Tim and Bob or something like that. Then you get Neptunes here and there, so it kind of doesn't feel like. That's why I said you don't skip your first album, because it's just so cohesive in everything. I think I can't leave by not talking about being on Bad Boy and seeing everyone, from Total. I'm interviewing Kima next week or so, but just what was it like? Did you guys feel like you were on one of the big, when Mase, Biggie, and everyone? Did you feel like you were on the biggest, baddest label on the planet at one point in time?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Anybody that was from Bad Boy probably had that chip on their shoulder that we are the best. The pride that we have and still have with Bad Boy, because it's still Bad Boy, baby.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's our family. You know what I mean? Diddy is our big brother.
Yeah.
Anybody that was signed to 112, we're still cool with. We still call, talk to them. It's still all love. So, we, in our heyday and even right now. And that's the reason why there's some of the questions you asked with why does the material still seem top notch premier? You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know anything but that. If it's going to be done, it's going to be done right. It's going to be top notch A1, or don't do it at all.
How hard was it?
I'm actually vocal coaching Kima's daughter.
Oh yeah. It's
Kima. Her name is Kima too.
Yeah, but probably spelled differently. But okay, okay.
Yeah. So when you do an interview with her, just mention to her that because I'm actually vocal coaching her daughter. Her name is she goes by Mama, on the as her stage name or whatever. But I've been vocal coaching her for about 4 months now. So make sure you bring that up too.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, how hard was it to sing on Missing You? Especially because you guys knew Biggie and stuff. How was it a hard track to record and do?
Yeah, man, it was hard, man, because that was our homeboy. He was actually one of the first people to embrace us. As far as between him and Faith, they were like the first two that really embraced us at Bad Boy. Like they knew that that 12 was from Atlanta and they were from New York or up top, and the world seemed so much bigger to us once we got up there and stuff. So it was they just saw it in their hearts to just open the world up to us and say, yo, these are my guys. So their friends became our friends, and their people became our people, and it just became a family environment. Like we used to go around saying that it was the Bad Boy family, and that wasn't just for show. That's because we actually considered ourselves a unit, and we considered ourselves family, man. So for Big and for Faith to open themselves up and allow 112 to be embraced the way that we did, man, that speaks volumes. So yeah, it was very difficult for us to to sing that song, because it's still to this day, man. Every March 9th, I take a shot for Big every March 9th, man. To this day, and it's been he's been dead since 2007. I mean, 97. 97. I'm sorry, 97. So yeah, so he's been gone since 97, man. So ever since 97, I've always on March 9th, I take a shot for him, whatever, just because that's how impactful he was to us. And I feel like 112 would have been successful whether or not he had rhymed on the record, but him being on that record just really solidified us as being Bad Boy artists and being that premier next group or whatever. So I'm appreciative of that, man, and for that I'm forever grateful.
Yeah. Would you guys, because I know Faith is still coming out with music, but would you guys ever collaborate with, Total?
We have.
Oh, recently.
Oh, you mean Total? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Total or Faith or
yeah, we have. We have. If you listen to The King and I, we were on there.
Yeah,
any of my projects, I've had Faith. I've had Carl Thomas.
Mase.
I've had Jadakiss. It's like I said, trust me when I tell you, we're still, everybody's still in touch with each other. You just see Mike is vocal coaching Kima's daughter. So it's just trust me when I tell you, it's still family. You know what I'm saying? It's still Bad Boy though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, everybody's living in Atlanta. You know, I interviewed Donnell. Everyone lives in Atlanta. Do you see all these? Because as I said, when I lived in Selma, I remember my aunties were out in, Marietta, and so, but you wouldn't see. I remember seeing Chris Cross at Andrew Young's house during Thanksgiving, but very rarely do you see people. But from Q Sweat to whoever lives in Atlanta, do you guys all see each other in the mall? Is it all these big Bobby? Everyone's out in there. Does it feel like, wow, everyone has moved down to the Black Mecca?
For the most part, man, when there's an event, saying to be had, or something, a big event, then all the artists come out. But just like 112, for the most part, you just pretty much stay at home, because you're on the road all the time, and you're so busy with with work and with life and all these other things, man, that you pretty much want to stay at home when you don't have to be. But well, you don't have to be out in the limelight or whatever. But when you're in the limelight, yeah, for the most part, everybody comes out, everybody shows up and shows out. So we pretty much see everybody, and we all acknowledge each other, we all see each other, and and it's a really great a movement for everybody to see each other and stuff, man. For the most part, yeah, if we're at home, we're staying at home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
In fact, as I was preparing for today, I was saying to myself, what do you guys do when you're not on tour? Like, what's the day like? I mean, are you, cutting the grass? You doing homework with the kids, or are you in the studio just making music? I mean, what happens when, like, you're not on tour or anything on a regular day?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, we try to catch up with whatever we can, because we're for the most part always on the road. So whatever we can do that that definitely requires family and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like we handle those situations, and we have to juggle our personal with our business. So
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? In fact, it's just plethora of things.
Well, guys, I really have to appreciate the interview. I was a little bit nervous about, you guys have had so much music, and there were so many directions and how to go it. But I have to appreciate the fact how you guys were, as always, diplomatic in stuff, and in the show we're not looking for dirt, but it was great to see things that we didn't know about how. I knew you guys wrote for your own self, but I never knew you were writing for all these other people, because it wasn't well known and established and stuff. So it's an amazing sort of achievement. But also the fact that you two still have that sense of, one for all and all for one and stuff. As fans, no matter where it is, would always be hoping and saying one day we'll the white rock groups, fall out and they come back, and that's, as it's all in God's hands if that ever comes up. But it's not a case where we don't appreciate and accept and celebrate what you guys are doing now. And I know people are going to know that you guys have a tour coming up in Vegas, which is out. As I said, Blackstreet's also on that. Any other shows that you should look out for?
We have another show in Detroit, and it's still kind of iffy, because the promoters are real reluctant to do shows with COVID being as prevalent as it is. But as more and more people get vaccinated, then they allow themselves to to open up more and more. Once Live Nation gives the green light, I believe everybody else will follow suit.
Yeah.
So pretty much everybody's waiting on the big wigs, the heavy hitters to go ahead and give the green light as far as shows are concerned. And once they do that, I think the floodgates will open up at that point. So we're anticipating August, September, somewhere around that time, where the floodgates are going to open, man, and we're going to get a lot of shows, and more shows than Slim and I are going to be really ready for. But we'll definitely take it, because we're antsy, and we're very excited about getting back on the stage and performing for our fans again.
Yeah. You know what? I put down here, what is your favorite album? So I told you what the fans voted for, but for you guys, maybe Slim first, what would you say is your favorite 112 album that you guys have done?
I can't say. I don't have a favorite. Like, all of them were like, they're all experiences. Like, they're all they're all special in it themselves. You know what I'm saying? Either if I didn't like them or not, they're all like the same.
Okay. But Mike, if you had to be inducted when you guys are inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and they say, which one would you want to put up as this is my proudest one? What would you pick?
Part 3.
Okay.
Part 3. Only because that symbolized 112 meant that Part 3 album meant more to 112 than just us putting another album out. To me, it symbolized our independence, because we were tired of people saying that it was just Puffy that was the reason why we were so successful. So we was rebellious on that third album, and it reflected on the third album as well. So if I had to pick one, I would say that Part 3. The Q Mike Slim Ron album, actually vocally we sounded better than as a unit than we've ever sound as a unit before. However, it didn't get the acclaim or even the recognition that I felt like it should have had or whatever. But vocally, that's one of the better albums. But Part 3, I would say, as far as our independence and us just going against the grain and not giving a damn what nobody else thought, Part 3 was that record.
Wow. And song wise though, you've done, when you've come up with seven albums and stuff, you've got plethora of songs. But if you had top three songs, which would be your top 3 songs that you're proudest, not your best, but you're proudest of?
Oh man.
Of songs that our songs? And
your songs, your top 3 that you've done that you're proudest of, your top 3 that you said, these are 3 songs that I'm really proud of.
Damn sandwich. Oh. Man, that's the hard one too. That is hard. That is hard. I mean, I would probably say, oh man, that's hard. That is hard. I'll let Mike have it. That's hard.
I would say Only You, Cupid, Peaches and Cream.
Okay. You already had those locked down. I mean, because are these the songs you're picking, songs you do on your tour and your playlist and stuff?
Yeah, well, those songs meant so much that Only You, because Only You started everything off. Cupid, because it revolutionized the way that people saw us, and Part 3 just put us in a whole nother stratosphere.
Did you guys when you did Cupid, did Total then go and do Kissing You? Because it sounded the same type of string stuff. Was it a sense of imitating the success of Cupid?
Nah, we didn't, because we actually wrote that for them. So when we did it, we were like, So I don't think we came with the mind frame we wanted to make this a Cupid, because we felt like Total had their own sound and stuff, man, and they should have. We got to stick to that sound that they have. You know what I'm saying? So them trying to do Cupid would be us trying to do like Can't You See, and like it'll be different. Like it'll be a different vibe or whatever. So when we wrote that song for them, it was really like, let's just make a remix. Let's just make it simple, make it fun, and just something that everybody can sing along to.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's after midnight here, but I really appreciate. I never knew what direction this was going to go to. Next week I fly to Nigeria to bury my dad. Sadly, COVID took his life just before Christmas. So, but when I get back, I'm gonna edit this and put it out. But I really appreciate. I'll get in touch with Greg to thank him for arranging this. I apologize for the fact that there's something wrong with my account where when you guys logged in, it didn't show that you were on. So I had to come out and find another way to get back in. So I've never had this happen where people are waiting, because so I apologize for that. But I appreciate you guys have been awesome, even being patient when things are shut down and having to come back on. It's been really eye-opening for me, especially, as I said, I can't count how many people I've interviewed, but your stories have been probably one of the better ones, because you've shown in the midst of adversity, there's still a hunger for more, and you're not dwelling in the past. You're really looking forward to the future, so which is really admirable and amazing. And I really appreciate and look forward to bigger and better things coming from you guys.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate it, man, so much, man. And condolences to your family, man. And
Yes.
get over to Nigeria safely and get back home safely as well.
Yeah, thanks very much. But thanks, guys. And when I get back and I release it, I'll let Greg know so that and if you check us out on Halftime Chat. I interviewed Woody Rock who left Drew Hill just a couple of days ago, and his stories as well. So it's been, the fans love hearing these stories. They're sad, but they enjoy hearing stuff that we never knew, and it gives a different type of appreciation when we see you guys in tour. We can see that, we can see where you're coming from and stuff. So
Awesome.
I look forward to really letting people know about this stuff. But thanks, guys, and stay safe as well.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.